Hello and welcome to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's the Army Strong 150 for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. An historic day, though, because this will be the first race that the East Series has run at the Bowman Gray Stadium. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen and Phil Parsons. A lot of history in this racetrack, Phil.
It's incredible. This is the first weekly racing series track ever in NASCAR. They started back in 1949, and look at that crowd, will you?
A great crowd. And they've been able to bear through the temperature today. 88 degrees now. It was a sweltering day here in North Carolina. Our points as they look now. We have Brett Moffitt trying to continue his winning ways with that team, the 00, two-time champions in the East Series, on top of the points.
Yeah, Darrell Wallace only 1 point behind Coleman Presley, 31 points back in third.
Coleman Presley won the pole. Let's hear from him with Derek.
Rick, one of the wildest parts about Bowman Gray Stadium is the energy and the atmosphere. Coleman Presley starts on the pole, and can you believe the cheers and the excitement of this crowd?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I especially heard it when Burt Myers' name was called. So hopefully by 150 laps tonight, they'll be cheering for Coleman Presley.
Well, you're on the pole tonight, and track position is everything. What do you got to do to stay out front?
We're just going to do all we can to get good restarts, keep it on the bottom, keep the AW North Carolina Toyota stay out front and fast, and the fenders clean.
Rick, guys, this is the closest thing I've ever seen to the Roman Coliseum or walking through Gasoline Alley at the Brickyard.
Derek, some of the biggest names in all of stock car racing have been to Bowman Gray Stadium and have visited Victory Lane here. One of those is Junior Johnson, Hall of Famer Junior Johnson. You're standing with him.
Rick, the history and the tradition continues here at Bowman Gray Stadium, and it goes right on into the next generation. Junior Johnson's son, Robert, starts third tonight, and what kind of a moment is this for you, seeing your whole family come full circle here at Bowman Gray?
Well, it's great. You know, having a son to get into the sport that you was pretty successful in, and, you know, it looks like he's going to be successful himself. He's a great kid, and he's got a great, you know, manners and stuff, and he'll, you know, treat people right as long as they treat him right. But he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think he can make it in racing.
You've got a ton of laps here. What kind of advice have you given him to race here tonight?
I've given him every secret I had here, and then I was pretty well successful. Yeah, I run 5 times with the Grand. It used to be the Grand National way back in the days, and I won 4 of them. And when you win 4 races here and not lose one of them, you're really on the track. What you know, that how to get into the corner and get out of them and stuff like that. And I was up against a good bunch of drivers like Rex White, Bob Weber, and they run this place forever, so I could beat them. I thought I was really good here.
The history and the tradition continues here at the Bowman Gray Stadium, and the torch has been passed to Robert Johnson, who starts third in his debut tonight. Did you ever think that you'd have such a great qualifying run in your first ever race?
I didn't expect it when we went out. I was expecting somewhere between 5th and 15th, but we'll definitely take third. It was a great lap, and I didn't expect to be right up there with them, but we're going to be up there contending for the win, so we're in the catbird seat right now.
What kind of advice has your dad given you before this race tonight?
He's told me a lot about how to drive the track, and yeah, he's told me the thing hadn't changed since back when he raced on it. So we're gonna go out there and we're gonna drive the racetrack pretty hard. It's definitely a precision racetrack. You got to be on your marks. So we're gonna go out there and see where we end up.
Robert Johnson starts third tonight.
Pretty big names in this field, as we've already heard from Coleman Presley and now Robert Johnson, 2 sons of greats in this sport.
Yeah, some of the things we have to look at, track position is going to be so key here. So small a racetrack. Stay on the bottom. There really isn't much on the outside, and the speeds are so slow here relatively. You got to make sure your car doesn't overheat. Can't have too much tape on it.
Let's go back to Derek.
Well, everybody has come out here tonight for this historic event at Bowman Gray Stadium, and with me is Lisa France Kennedy. And Lisa, take away the corporate end of it and become a mom for a minute. And what's it like having your son out there on the track?
Well, it's exciting, and you know, as a mother and also having been in the sport for so long, it's just really, really neat. This track, Bowman Gray, has so much history, and just to come here and see how it all comes up through the ranks, how everybody gets a chance to learn here and come up through the ranks is just so exciting.
Your family promoted races here decades ago, and now everything comes full circle. What kind of feeling does that give you guys coming here tonight to see the first K&N race here?
Oh, it's amazing. And, you know, like I talked about, there's so much history here. And even personally, you know, my father, Bill France Jr., met my mother here, and that's where their whole relationship started. And there's so many of our race team owners and drivers that have come through here and really been a part of this track. So it's awesome.
Lisa France Kennedy is here tonight to cheer on her son driving the 96. Ben, what does it mean to be able to start the first K&N race here tonight?
I mean, this is awesome. Definitely history being made. Tons of people in the stands, and starting 11th tonight, I'm very excited for it. Our family's very excited. Very historical night tonight, and sort of walking around talking to some people. The amount of history that's here is just incredible.
We saw your mom talking to you just a little while ago about racing tonight. What were you guys talking about?
I mean, just how everything's going to go down. I mean, it's hard to pass here, and I saw a little bit last night. I think it was a sportsman division or something, but it'll be interesting, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Ben Kennedy is going to rub some fenders here tonight, Bowman Gray Stadium.
Family traditions continue here at Bowman Gray Stadium. We talked about family earlier. Another family member, Chase Elliott, obviously in this race, a young man that's starting his career and looking very strong. He's got to be a favorite for the race tonight as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And what a great ladder system for NASCAR. You can have people like Ben Kennedy and Chase Elliott all get some experience in this level and then move up maybe to the Camping World Truck Series, the Nationwide Series, and ultimately one day obviously to the Sprint Cup Series. But great to see Robert Johnson making his debut in this series as well.
Phil, before we race, we need to fire the engines, and for this special occasion, let's go to NASCAR's Betty Jane France.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
We'll go green when we come back.
And welcome back to Bowman Gray Stadium. We want to take a look at the numbers of this racetrack. Just a quarter mile, Phil.
Yeah, the banking is non-existent. This racetrack is flat, as you can see right there. Absolutely no banking whatsoever, but 37.5 miles, 27 cars on this quarter-mile racetrack. That's pretty busy.
37.5 miles. You would think of this race as a sprint, but it's a short track, and we're going to see a lot of bumping and banging.
Yeah, a lot of beating and banging, but Coleman Presley, great job for his first ever pole in his first season. There's Darrell Wallace Jr. back there in row number 5.
It's pretty impressive. Robert Johnson in his first start in this series starts third, so we'll see how that is able to end up for him. And our points leader Brett Moffitt starts fourth in this race as we continue to look through the field.
There's Chad Fincham in the 12 car. I think they were only originally going to start 24 cars here, and they decided to start everybody that came, so all 27 starters make it.
Fields all in line. Coleman Presley in the 14 on the inside. Teammate Matt DiBenedetto on the outside. Green flag in the air. We're underway.
Got to be on the bottom of the racetrack. That's where you have to be. See, Matt there's hanging in tough on the outside. Doesn't want to lean on his teammate too much, though.
Through 3 and 4, it looks like DiBenedetto's going to have the edge at the start-finish line. He'll lead lap 1.
How about that? From the outside, Matt DiBenedetto takes the lead. There's Brett Moffitt hanging in there in third behind Coleman.
Your top 3, you can throw a blanket over them right now. Matt DiBenedetto out in front of Coleman Presley, and Brett Moffitt running the 0-0 holds on to third. Robert Johnson back in the 11 is fourth. Sergio Pena fifth.
See, Sergio gets by on the inside. Now Chase Elliott's going to open up that hole on the bottom underneath Max Gresham. Max has a lot of experience up on a spotter stand. Burt Myers, a 4-time track champion here in the Southern Modifieds, is spotting for Max.
Gresham tucks in behind that 9 of Chase Elliott. Behind them, it's still side by side. There's Corey LaJoie in the 07. Just in front of him is Ben Kennedy in the 96.
Dale Quarterly, a 6-time winner in the series back in the 32 car. That's the green and red car.
Brandon Haley in the 51 stuck on the outside. We saw Chad Boat in the 98 also throwing that blue 98 into the mix.
So easy to overdrive these corners because no banking whatsoever. That's how you're going to get past. You overdrive this corner, slide up, you get that nose up in the center of the corner, someone's going to drive underneath you, and then you're past.
We heard Robert Johnson talk about this being a precision racetrack. So much horsepower trying to put that to the wheels and to the asphalt here.
Yeah, and that's the other difficult part, getting the car turned in the center of the corner, going the other direction, and then getting the 650 horsepower put down to the racetrack. I think NASCAR did a real nice thing here. They actually took a little less gear than what they could have run here, and they're only turning about 7,000 RPMs, so that makes it a lot easier to try to get these things hooked up. They normally turn about 7,800 or 8,000.
Benedetto out in front of Coleman Presley, and already early on in this race you're starting to see the slower lap traffic just in front of our leaders. So Matt Benedetto will have to work on getting by some of the slower cars and then keeping Coleman Presley in his rearview mirror.
I was talking to Robert Huffman, who's the crew chief for the 14 of Coleman Presley, as well as the team manager for the 15 of Matt Benedetto and the 16 of Alex Bowman. He said, oh, trouble on the racetrack.
Spin around, it goes to 32. That is Dale Quarterly that brings out caution number 1.
We saw Dale just a few moments ago racing up in the top 10. He gets it turned around in front of Brett Moffitt, but he will be a lap down.
So the field has to slow and come to a stop. You see the damage to the left rear. Looks like he may have had a little help getting turned around.
Yeah, and that's going to happen on this racetrack. There's going to be a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of cars beating and banging, and you know, you struggle so much for grip. It's going to be hard to keep these cars straight.
Great crowd on hand once again from Bowman Gray Stadium. Benedetto out front. Stay with us. We'll be right back.